guys, so today I'm going to be talking about where I've been these last few months and my whole delivery experience, my experience in the hospital, give y'all some of my feelings about how it was like delivering the baby and all of that stuff. So basically I went into labor on September 10th. I woke up about 5 in the morning. Seth had already gotten ready and left for work, and I started having pains, and then I had my whole bloody show or whatever. My mucus plug came out, so I called my mom. I was kind of panicking. I was like, what do I do? And then she came over and kind of sat with me, and I wasn't really having like bad contractions, but they were like mild, not even like I could still like move around and cook and like make breakfast and stuff like that. So she came over and just hung out with me. I messaged Seth and was like, hey, this is what's going on. I don't know if you want to leave work or not, but you probably should because this seems like it's about to happen. So he left work and he came home. During all of that, I was like freaking out, so I was running around cleaning everything. I think I started nesting like really bad. I'd already been doing that, but like I was cleaning everything. I was getting everything ready. Me and my mom had loaded the car up just in case. So Seth got home and then we went up to the hospital. Well, they have like our hospital is basically you call this emergency place that is in the maternity ward, and they see you and hook you up and everything and check you or whatever, and then if you actually are like in labor and dilated, they bring you into an actual room. So I was in a room, and then there was like a curtain, and then there was actually another girl beside me. So I could only have 2 people in that little space with me. So my mom and Seth were in there. My dad and my grandparents were in the waiting room, and so they checked me, and I was only out of 1. So they sent me home and told me just to keep an eye on it, like my contractions, start timing them and stuff like that, and if I wanted to I could walk. So me, my mom, and Seth went to Target, and we were walking around for a little bit, like an hour and a half probably. And so after that we ended up going home. My dad was cooking because my grandparents had drove down from a little ways to be there just in case anything was happening. So my dad had made gumbo, so we were eating that, and I started getting really bad contractions. They were like unbearable. I could not move, I could not talk, they were so painful. So we were timing those, and I think that they would last for like a minute to 2 minutes, and they were less than 3 minutes apart. So we had called back up there and tried to get a hold of my doctor, but he wasn't on call. So if I did go into labor that night, then I was going to have to have another doctor deliver my baby. And so we called up there and told them everything that was going on, asked them what we should do, and they told us that if we wanted to, that we could go back up there, but they probably didn't think that I was dilated enough. So we went back up there and they checked me in and everything, and one of the nurses came in to check me, and I was, I think, at a 7 by then. So I was at a 7, so they started hooking me up because they had the monitors around my stomach to hear mine and the baby's heartbeat, and they were only picking up mine. So I put an IV into my hand. They put me on oxygen, and they had Seth and my mom in there because you can only have 2 people in there. So they were in there, and I started kind of like getting nervous because they couldn't have, they had the thing up to where I could hear my heartbeat and his, and I stopped hearing his. So I started kind of panicking, and I was like kind of crying, and I just didn't know what was going on. I've never like been through this before, so I didn't understand what was happening. And eventually they did find his heartbeat. They had to turn me a little bit, try and like, I guess he was hiding or something, I don't know. But so after all of that, they brought me into a room. Like they finally admitted me and brought me into a room and hooked me up and everything like that. And then I think about an hour after I was in there, maybe an hour and a half, maybe, I don't remember. It was hard to tell time. I was so tired. I'd been up since 5 that morning, and it was like probably 10 or 11 at night. But I was so exhausted. I think that I got my epidural. They asked me if I wanted it, and my contractions were pretty bad, but I wanted to wait. So I just wanted to see if I could like try and do it without epidural, but there's no way that I could have. So the guy came in, the guy that does the epidurals, and was really nervous. I was like shaking. I don't know. He asked me if I wanted to look at the needle. I was like, no. So he did that, and it really was not bad at all. I thought it was gonna be way worse because I think I've seen needles before, like the epidural needles, and they were super big, but it was not bad at all. So they gave me that, and I was so much better. I could not feel my whole lower half of my body. Didn't know I was having contractions. So they did that, and then they came in to check me, I think a few minutes later, and I think it was at like a 9. So they didn't have to give me Pitocin or anything like that, thank God, because I've heard that that is awful and I did not want that. But they did that, and then they started setting up everything to get ready for me to start pushing. And right whenever I tried to get some sleep too, me, my mom, and Seth finally like lay down. They were on the couch and I was in the bed. We were about to like try and take a nap because we had been up all day since like 5 in the morning. So they came in, and my doctor finally came in. Well, it wasn't my doctor, it was the doctor on call. She was really nice, and I'm actually like, after didn't really want anybody else to deliver the baby except the doctor I was comfortable with, but I really loved her. She was awesome. So they came in and started pushing, and I think I pushed for about an hour and 10 minutes, and we had troubles again finding his heartbeat, and then like my blood pressure was dropping, and I had no idea all this was happening. The nurses were super calm. They kept flipping me. I couldn't move my whole lower body. Like, it was so numb. I couldn't feel anything. I would try and help them, and I just could not. So they had to like move me and try and find his heartbeat, but they were having a lot of trouble. And so I pushed for about an hour and 10 minutes, and they had a bunch of NICU nurses in there because they were worried about him coming out and not breathing or something like that. So they were all like hidden in the corner to where I couldn't see them. I didn't even know that they were really there. So they were all hidden in the corner to where I couldn't see them. And right when he was about to come out, my doctor was like, he has, I think it's meconium. So she said that if he comes out and he's not crying, that they're gonna have to take him because he might have inhaled, like in his lungs or something, the meconium. So I was freaking out because like that was the first thing that I had heard all night that was going wrong. I had no idea that my blood pressure and his heart rate like was having all these problems. So she told me that, and I like looked at my mom and stuff, and I was like kind of crying. And he came out and he was fine. He was crying, and they laid him on my chest, and I got to hold him for like 5 seconds maybe while Seth cut the cord, and then they took him away like to the other side of the room to clean him up and check him and everything, and like sure he's okay. And I didn't get to hold him for like an hour and a half until like that was all cleaned up and they had me all like fine and everything. And I think in my vlog you can see my mom said, "How are you?" And I was like, "I just want to hold the baby." And I didn't get to hold him at all. I didn't hardly get to like look at him. Seth was doing skin to skin with him, which I mean was fine, but I just wanted to hold him. I didn't get to like have any, like he came out and then they took him. So all of that happened, and it was, I think 5:02 was when he was born on September 11th. So we had been awake from 5, we had been awake for like full 24 hours. And so after that, I think it was about 7 o'clock, whenever 7:38 maybe, I think, whenever it started calming down kinda. So my mom and dad took my little brother home and kind of tried to let me and Seth rest, and his family eventually left too. We got moved to another room, I think at about noon the next day. They came in, they helped me get a bath and everything. While they were doing that, Seth helped the nurses move all of our stuff to a different room. And then basically we just stayed in that room for the next like 2 days. They asked me if I wanted to go home on the 12th, I think, but I was breastfeeding the baby and I was not comfortable yet at all, so I asked to stay another day and they let me. I just needed help with my consultant. I was having a hard time. I wasn't understanding. I've never been around anybody that breastfeeds, and I've never done this before, so I was not understanding like why my milk was not coming in yet, and it was just the colostrum. So he was eating constantly and I was so exhausted. My hospital is one of those to where they let the baby stay in the room, like they don't take him or anything like that. He stays in the room with me the whole time. So I got no sleep at all. He did not want to sleep in the little bed that they have, like with the wheels. He did not want to stay in that at all. They took him for I think an hour maybe and let me and Seth try and get some sleep, but I couldn't sleep at all. I just kept thinking about the baby. And they brought him into the NICU and let us sleep for like an hour until he started crying again. They had to bring him back. So we ended up staying there until the 13th, and then we came home, and I did not sleep at all. He did not want to sleep in his swing. He did not want to sleep in his bassinet. I couldn't leave him in his crib and me go sleep in the bedroom by myself because I wouldn't hear him. So I basically did not sleep. When he slept, I was still awake. I could not sleep either. He wanted to nurse and sleep, and as soon as I take him off, he would wake up. But unless I put him down, or if I held him, he was fine. But if I put him down, he would cry. So I just would still, like, I don't think I got postpartum depression, but I would just cry and cry because I was so exhausted. My body was so tired. I think Seth got 2 hours of sleep in the hospital, but he had to go back to work once we got home, so he was able to go to sleep. I would keep the baby in the living room with me and try and keep him quiet and try and get him to go to sleep so I could sleep, but he was just not having it. I think it took us about 2 or 3 weeks before he would start kind of sleeping at night, and I eventually got a a rock implant. That saved my life. He still sleeps in that. We're 4 months old, almost 5 months, and he still sleeps in that. That is the only thing I can get him to sleep in. I think it's because it helps him feel like he's being held. I really feel like now I can kind of try and get back into the groove of things with vlogging and making my videos. He almost 5 months. He's getting a little bit easier to kind of like just like let him play and do his own thing. As long as he can see me, I think we're fine. This is Grayson. I'm going to end the video here. I just wanted to do a quick update and let y'all know like where I've been. But yeah, so that is all. You wanna smile? You wanna smile? No? Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if y'all haven't watched my labor and delivery video, then go ahead and do that. So that is all for now. You say bye, guys. You say bye.